On Wednesday, it's George Osborne's fifth and last budget of this Parliament. It might be the last budget he ever gives if the Conservatives don't win the election. Now, what's going to happen? What should we look for? Well, the first thing is always the economic figures. I think the growth figures for how much the economy is expanding will be pretty similar to the ones they presented in December. So we'll see a downgrade for 2014 because we've had some economic revisions, but the rest of it will be pretty similar. Modest growth in the next few years, and then the all-important public finances. Here, George Osborne might get some good news because low inflation will reduce the cost of index-linked gilts, and the lower oil price might even mean that there might be more corporate tax revenues from other companies in the years ahead. Regardless of the precise numbers that George Osborne is faced with in the budget, he still has some wiggle room to play with. And that's because in the autumn statement in December, at the end of the Parliament, he was projecting a surplus on the public finances of £23 billion. Now, the Conservative ambition is only to balance the budget, so he has about £23 billion at least to play with over the medium term. So what could he do? He could cut taxes or promise some tax cuts, or he could limit the spending cuts that are already planned so they're not as deep as currently thought. Of course, one of the big constraints on George Osborne is politics. He doesn't have a completely free hand. He has to get agreement from the Liberal Democrats about any budget measures he wants to introduce. So that might be quite tricky if the Lib Dems want to play difficult with an election coming up. But also, the Lib Dems also want to show they're a responsible party of government. So I don't think that prevents the Chancellor from introducing anything at all in this budget. And the second thing he wants to do is to show that the Tories have sort of half completed the job that they wanted to do to repair the economy. And in that sense, he might not want to introduce a massive giveaway just before the election, because that would suggest he had more money to play with and the public finances were rather stronger than he likes to suggest. Whatever rabbit George Osborne manages to pull out of his budget hat on Wednesday, I think we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that the repair job still has a long way to go. So after the election, we are going to get big spending cuts. That's going to be the feature of the next 5 years. And also, there will also be tax rises almost certainly on the agenda. Chris Giles, Financial Times.